Good afternoon, dear students. The theme of our lecture is linguistic personality. According to the plan of our lecture, we are going to discuss the following questions. First, the history of the linguistic personality phenomenon study, and the second, the method of modeling of linguistic personality types. The cognitive direction in the linguistics began to be actively formed in the 19th of the 20th century when, due to the global integration processes in the society, the traditional problem of understanding of cultures became recognized as a complex interdisciplinary problem that has its psychological, sociocultural, and scientific aspects. The trend towards interdisciplinary research allows scientists to develop new approaches to the subject of study. In modern science, linguistic personality is seen as a phenomenon integrating results of interdisciplinary linguistic research. The term was first introduced by Vinogradov in 1930, who determined the means of description of authors' and characters' linguistic personality on the material of fiction literature. There is a similar understanding given by Karaulov. A linguistic personality is a personality expressed in language and through language. It is a personality reconstructed in its main features of the language means basis, a combination of the abilities to generate and perceive verbal works, degree of structural linguistic complexity, depth and accuracy of representation of reality, and certain target orientation can be known as linguistic personality. Bogin suggests the linguistic personality as a person with idiomatic speech who has the ability to use the language system in his activity at large. Varkavich noticed that linguistic personality means person as a native speaker, taken from his ability of speech activity, complex of psychological and physical qualities of an individual for allowing him to make and perceive speech works, speech person. Finally, linguistic personality was understood at a base national cultural prototype of a speaker fixed in a lexical system and compiled on the basis of worldview, values, priorities, and behavioral responses reflected in a dictionary, ethnosemantic dictionary personality. The concept of linguistic personality is based on the notion of an individual as a subject of relations and conscious activity determined by the given system of social relations and culture. Personality is both a product and a subject of history and culture, its creator and creation. A person becomes a creator of culture due to his or her ability to be a subject of activity, creating and improving new environment. There are three types of models of linguistic personality. Modeling of linguistic personality type is based on the specific structure of the concept and the cultural potential inherent in it. The algorithm of describing the linguistic culture type presupposes the selection of the image perceptive conceptual value aspects and also the complements of socio-cultural references. The first stage consists in describing the conceptual content of linguistic personality type under consideration of the basis of the analysis of its most important features. The language material for this stage of the study is dated to lexicographical sources, exclamatory, synonymous, encyclopedic, terminological, special dictionaries. Let us demonstrate an example of such description. For example, butler is in dictionary is defined as a person, second, male servant, the third, principal servant of the hold, supervising employees, employee, performing domestic services and receiving fees, running wine cellar. Thus, the butler is a man, male, an elder servant hired by the owner of the house to do housework and guide the staff for a certain reward. One of main responsibility of the butler is the managing of the wine cellar. As you can see, the scope of the description of the conceptual component of the linguistic personality type can vary significantly. Thus, as can be seen, it is directly related to the socio-cultural status of a person underlying the described linguistic personality type. The second stage is involved to the definition of associative and figurative perceptive features of the type in questions and in individual language consciousness of native speakers. They are distinguished on the basis of the interpretation of fiction text materials from encyclopedias, internet sites, documentary and feature films, and interviews with respondents. This technique was tested by many researchers. For these purposes, it is proposed to use a number of experimental methods. At the same time, the number of respondents cannot be less than 1,000 people of different sex, age, status, which is due to the need to minimize subjectivism in the responses. Experiments are carried out both in groups and individual forms. The participants of the experiment, using the method of free definitions, are invited to do tasks. Please write how do you understand the meaning of the word. Or, for example, finish the phrase, he is an entrepreneur, not a businessman, because he is an entrepreneur, not a money bearer, because the received language material allows one to represent the image perceptive characteristic of the linguistic personality type under analysis. Stage 3 includes the identification of value and evaluation characteristics of this type in the self-presentation and presentation of others. The value aspect is the positioning of the type in the value system of lingua culture, which has a dual character, individual and collective. At the same time, there is a tendency to lose personal appreciation due to attraction of figurative, symbolic perception in the public consciousness. The linguistic personality type itself can be represented simultaneously as a set and hierarchy of values in the system of value orientation and have an appraisal characteristic in society. The estimate characteristic of the analyzed type are established on the basis of the analysis of diagnostic utterance, namely the material of the questionnaire, the analysis of dictionaries, manuals, materials of the media, cinema, art, literature, the internet, that is, all sources bearing information about a certain linguistic personality type. The linguistic personality has a culturally conditioned mentality, a picture of the world and a system of values, because through the language a person gets an idea of the world and the society of which has become a member about his culture. Thank you very much for attention.